Hey everybody, we made it to season 23, which has no theme, so it's kind of a free-for-all. So hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, do whatever you want, just be safe. When a man found the body of a young woman in the garbage bin outside of his house, the police struggled to identify who she had last been with. When they finally had a suspect, he thought he could trick the investigators and get away with the crime, but he would soon learn that the detectives weren't as easy to fool as he had hoped. This is Monsters. I have to make a confession before I start this episode, and I feel bad about it because the victim in this story deserves for the case to be taken seriously. Unfortunately, I'm only human, and maybe I've become too desensitized by producing this show for the past 5 years. I was not a squeamish person before that. My wife calls me a robot because nothing bothers me and I have zero panic response. That said, I generally don't laugh uncontrollably when I'm working on a case. This time was different though. The interrogation video is just so ridiculous, and maybe I'm still a little mentally fatigued from my last couple of videos, but there's a point where the suspect in this case goes on a long, babbling explanation of how he killed the victim, where he doesn't really say anything, and then there's a pause and he makes a face, and I just lost it. I'll point out where it happens, and if you're listening to this as a podcast, unfortunately you'll miss it. As much as I don't want to disrespect a victim, sometimes in these cases you can't help but laugh at the sheer ridiculousness of a specific part of the investigation. Camille Garcia, who went by Cammy, was born on July 1st, 1993 in Odessa, Texas. She was a single mother of 3 and was described as a talented artist. People who knew her said her life went downhill and she moved to San Angelo in order to be closer to her mother. She was hoping for a fresh start, but it seemed that wasn't the way things worked out. She was eventually evicted, and though her children were able to stay with family, Cammy ended up on the streets. She started associating with people involved in gangs and criminal activities. Unfortunately, Cammy's new lifestyle put her in contact with people who weren't safe to be around, and in March of 2018 she would disappear. On March 20th, a man was looking through the garbage bin on his property, looking for some tax documents he thought might have been thrown away by accident. He noticed a blue plastic tote in the bin and was wondering why his wife had thrown away a perfectly good tote. When he reached in and popped the lid off to see what was inside, he was shocked to find the body of a young woman. He immediately called the police and an investigation began. The body was eventually identified as 24-year-old Cammy Garcia, but detectives didn't have much information to go on. Cammy had been living on the streets and associating with people her family wasn't familiar with, so they weren't able to make any suggestions of who she might have been with last. There was apparently some drama between her and a man named Danny Lopez, which created some tension on social media, but it didn't seem to be related to her murder. The police got an anonymous call from someone saying they'd seen Cammy with a guy known as Machine or Little Machine. They also got a tip that Cammy had been seen with a man named Gilbert Hernandez, so detectives brought him in for questioning. Gilbert ended up being extremely cooperative and repeated something Cammy had told him. She said she had been at another man's house and he had become possessive and wouldn't let her leave. She eventually had to play along for him to finally let her go. That man was Little Machine. His real name was Andres Ramirez, and he was a local drug dealer who was well known to the police. Investigators learned that Andres had a suspended license, so they kept an eye on his house, and when he left, they followed him. When he made an illegal left turn, they pulled him over. Inside the back of the car, police found a 9mm pistol, the same caliber weapon that had killed Cammy. He was unregistered, and since Andres had a criminal record, he was not supposed to be in possession of a firearm. In the vehicle were also cleaning supplies and bloodstains. It seems that Andres requested to speak with a detective at the time of his arrest. When Andres was finally taken to the station, detectives interviewed him and they first asked him what he wanted to talk to them about.
Said you wanted to speak with who was in charge. Well, that's Sergeant Speck and I.
Yeah, man, I was, kind of weird how these numbers, they say the numbers don't lie, right?
Sometimes.
What else don't lie?
I don't know.
Say realize. Realize, realize, realize.
Okay. Realize.
Did you catch that?
No, I did not. You're going to have to explain that to me.
Realize.
Realize?
Realize.
Realize?
Realize.
Mm-hmm.
Realize.
Okay.
Realize, okay.
So tell me what you're getting at, man.
So they say the numbers don't lie,
Mm-hmm.
or do they?
And you're talking on another level that I don't understand right now.
Exactly. So let's just say how everything works, man. I've been in and out of things. I can't say like too much of what, but it seems like I guess maybe my county, my city is calling me in some which way, and even more than that, it's like I've been through some things, man, and I've seen some things that, you probably wouldn't even probably cope to, or,
I don't know. I've been doing this a while.
Not living it, though, is what I'm saying.
That's true.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, it's like, it's a lot different, man, and how it works, and, like, just put it like this, man, like, some of the things, like, man, this shit is serious, it's, you know what I mean, and, I don't know how to explain it, man, but yeah, it's just like kind of the way things happen and shit, you know what I mean, the way I seen it, and they say the root of all evil is money, but yet you come back to it and you look at the money, it says in God they trust, you know what I mean, so at the same time, I've never lost my faith in a lot of things that happen. And if I was to be able to tell you and break it down, like,
I'm sorry, what? At first, it might seem like Andres is either under the influence of drugs or mentally ill, but it's more likely that he's trying to confuse the detectives or make them believe he's mentally ill. Most investigators are able to identify that that's what the suspect is doing. In the case of Ryan Waller, who was interrogated after having been shot in the head, I'm sure that's what the detective believed was happening. He thought Ryan was speaking nonsense in an attempt to confuse the investigator or seem mentally ill so he could get away with a crime. The problem in that case was that Ryan had visible head injuries and he was denied medical treatment after he was taken into custody. If the suspect is visibly unharmed and doesn't smell of drugs or alcohol, it's more appropriate for the investigator to then explore the possibility the suspect is just trying to be sneaky. You can learn more about the Ryan Waller case by watching the documentary I made about it. There's a link in the description. These investigators seem to understand that Andres is trying to play some sort of game and they keep pushing him towards the truth. The thing about mental illness is that someone who's legitimately mentally ill will continue not making sense, but someone pretending will have a hard time maintaining a convincing act. Over time, Andres slips up a few times and then he finally admits that he knows they're investigating a murder.
Evidently you know something because of what I've seen, like, this didn't happen like that. It's no regular traffic stop. One.
Okay. Now you're making sense.
Right. I see.
So, let's keep making sense.
I see. I can read. I see all, like,
Mm-hmm.
I know the difference between...
Well, tell me why you think we're here like this and why you think the traffic stop went down like that.
I think maybe y'all have something to do with something that happened. As in maybe even somebody being killed.
I'd say you're probably right on track. I'd say that's the most intelligent thing you've said since we walked in. You were right on.
You could have been, that from the beginning, like, you had to even cause your scene and all like this. I don't,
Are you familiar with what we're trying to look into?
Yeah, possibly very familiar or at some type of,
After that, he went back to talking in loops of nonsense, but they had finally agreed they were talking about Cammie. Little by little, Andres started revealing more details, but they were a mix of truths and lies.
I can't say that I ain't ever, had sexual intercourse with her, like, and things like that, but yeah, shit.
When's the last time?
Fuck, I don't know, about a long time ago.
Really? Because you just told me you hadn't known her that long.
That's what I'm saying, like, I haven't known her, weeks,
So when did you last have sex with her?
Shit. I would say months ago, probably. 2 months ago, maybe. Give or take, something like that, maybe. 5. And I would probably say, yeah. What'd she say? 3, yeah, it's about 2 months, I would say.
Would you say she's a pretty girl?
Yeah.
Yeah?
She was but I don't know.
She's pretty. I mean, I've seen her.
She's a good-looking girl.
It sounded like he was saying he had known her for a couple of weeks, but the last time he had sex with her was a few months ago. Eventually, that story changed into this story.
How long have you known her? Give me a time frame about how long first time you spoke to her till now.
2 months, man.
About 2 months?
I would say about 2 months, 3 months, maybe.
Okay. When's the first time you ever became sexually involved?
Never, like, really, man. That's what I'm saying.
But
like,
you told me you all
yeah,
did.
but that was like, they're not the one, like, you know what I mean? Or like, maybe she was just in it for wrong reason, and that was the reason we should come around and shit, man. And I don't buy that shit. Like, you know what I mean? I'm on my business and shit, and the way things work. Like, come on now.
Y'all smash or not?
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't like nothing like that. Like, you wouldn't think, you know what I mean? Come on, man.
Come on, you're a dude.
You either do it or you don't.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But then so.
But there's nothing to it. I mean, but you did it. You did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's the last time?
I would say probably about a month ago.
A month ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did that happen at?
Where did that happen at?
Mm-hmm.
It happened at my house.
After cutting through all the contradictions, the way that Andres described his relationship with Cammie was that he didn't know her well. They had had casual sex a few times, but they weren't in a relationship and weren't even close. He made it out to seem like Cammie was his brother's friend and he only saw her on occasion. At the same time Andres was being interrogated, his brother Ruben Ramirez was being questioned in a different room.
How do you know Camille?
I met her through one of my cousins down there in Midland, I believe.
Yeah, because she's kind of from Midland.
Yeah.
Okay, so when do you think you met her?
No, I met her at her house. Because it was a long time ago, over a year ago.
Yeah.
And then I introduced her to my brother.
Yes.
And
they got
together,
yeah.
or whatever, you know.
Yeah. And you call her Cammie? That was called
Cammie.
Was she a sweet girl? Tell me what kind of girl she was.
She's very, like, I don't know, she was very outgoing, sort of she had a face to say, whatever.
Right.
Pretty much like that too, you know.
Right.
But I don't really know much about her, really, you know.
According to Ruben, who was completely cooperative and responded to every question with clear, concise answers, he met Cammie through other friends over a year prior. He introduced her to Andres and said they got together. Aside from Ruben just seeming 1,000 times more credible than his brother, his story also matches what seems to be known by others. Andres and Cammie had been in some sort of relationship, but Cammie didn't want to be with him, and Andres was upset about that. Detectives knew the answers that Ruben was giving the entire time they were talking to Andres, and so they knew how much the suspect was lying. Though he was giving them more information, he was still going in circles and telling them mostly nonsense. At that point, the detectives decided to let Andres go outside for a smoke break, which they continued to record. It seemed the break was what Andres needed to finally come up with the story he believed would get him off the hook.
Did you see anything bad with Cammie? Yeah. What'd you see bad with her?
Evil, bro.
Evil? What kind of evil she have going on?
She tried killing me.
She tried killing you? Why'd she try killing you?
I don't know, but it was after.
How long ago was this?
Wow. A
A while ago?
It seemed like at that point, Andres was going to try to set himself up with a story of self-defense. He didn't know it at the time, but it would be the only story he could have gone with, because by then, the gun found in his car had come back a match to the gun that had killed Cammy.
Do you have anything to do with Cammy's murder?
No, sir, not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Possibly. I mean, shit.
Come on, man. That's what we're trying to get down to.
You would think? What you think? I mean, come on now, man. Think about it, man.
I can't think about it. I'm not in your shoes, brother.
Exactly. Y'all got me under it, and it seems like, you know what I mean? I want to get down to it too, man. Like, y'all wouldn't even know what the fuck, like, is going on and, like, all that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'll tell you right now, Cammy didn't wish for it.
nah.
She didn't wish for what happened to her.
Obviously, back inside, the detectives asked about his involvement. He first told them that when he said he was involved, he meant that he had information, but he finally admitted that he shot Cammy, and this was how he described the incident. I want to warn you ahead of time, if you make a drinking game out of the amount of times he says, you know what I mean, you will die of alcohol poisoning.
Okay, how were you involved in her murder?
I guess I would say we had an argument, and things wasn't going exactly her way. And like I said, I'm not the person that, you know what I mean? She comes and goes as she pleases, and whenever she came inside or whatever, she already had what she had in mind, and it seemed like I went inside of the couch and she did what she did or whatever, and I don't know, man, but things didn't exactly go her way, and she started saying something to me, and it's like, you know, and I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do? And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And she had a knife, you know what I mean? And like, you know, she was already trying to come at me and shit, man, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, damn, and like I said, man, I had, you know, the gun and shit, man, and you know, and it was never, never, man, I would, you know, never thought, man, and that was like, you know, it's like, and I'm like, man, chill, you know what I mean? Like, it's like she came at me and shit, man. She was trying to fucking rip off my necklace and shit, you know, and everything, and so I'm like, man, chill, you know what I mean? Chill, and like all of a sudden, like she just like, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to like, you know, like trying to restrain her, you know what I mean? Just to like, you know what I mean? And I'm telling her, man, put the fucking knife down, man. Put the knife down, you know what I mean? I like, you know, and she's like, come on, motherfuckers. And I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, man, just stop. Like stop, right? And she's not starting. She's like, fucking, like, I don't know, man, but like, fucking arms and shit, like, start twisting and shit, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and like, she's like, bleh, and I'm like, what the fuck? Nah, man, chill. Like, hey, stop. Like, you know what I mean? Stop. Like, and she's like, just like coming at me like fucking like crazy, man. You know what I mean? It's like everything that I had, man. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like I couldn't no more, man. And I'm trying everything, bro. I'm trying, you know what I mean? My life. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, nah, man. You know what I mean? The something ain't real. Like, you know what I mean? And like, it was like crazy because like the way her body and shit is like, you know, like I'm trying to hold her down, but like, her fucking like the hips and like the back is like coming up, like lifting me up, like fucking, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, chill, man, chill, you know what I mean? And like all of it, like fucking like that knife, you know what I mean? Like come like that, man. And luckily, you know what I mean? When I had, you know, right there, man, you know, I didn't know anything else. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's fucking, you know. Yeah, we pulled the trigger.
That was the point in the footage where I lost it. That rambling description where he spent so much time saying almost nothing, followed up with that facial expression, was just too much for me to handle. I apologized to the victim. So now that the investigators had gotten him to confess to pulling the trigger, they needed more details to confirm he was the actual killer.
How did the body get out of your house, man?
I took it.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you get it out of your house?
You know what I mean? Put it in the deal and fucking.
What's the deal? I don't understand what the deal is.
In a blanket.
What kind of blanket?
Just regular wrapped up blue blanket. There was all kinds of them in there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I just wanted her to have everything. Man, I know what the fuck. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this shit is not right. Like, you know what I mean? And like, what I would like wanted, you know what I mean? To people to like, and it's like, nah, man.
What?
You can't see shit
Okay.
like that. Like,
You wrapped her up in a blanket, and then what'd you do with her?
and I put her inside the deal in the car.
What's the deal?
In the car.
What did you put her inside of?
Inside of a bin.
A bin? What color is your bin? Blue bin? Did you put anything around that bin?
No, besides just the covers that she was in and stuff like that, whatever. You know.
Tape it or tie it or anything?
I did try to keep the deal around it. You know what I mean? So
What the
it
deal?
was a rope.
A little
Yeah,
rope? What kind of
white
rope? A white rope?
Yeah.
It may sound strange, but there are people who confess to crimes they didn't commit. More importantly, some people may confess to a crime and then later claim it was a false confession. The detectives will get as many specific details about the crime with the confession, so if the suspect later says his confession was a lie, they can point out how they knew all of those specific details, making it more likely their confession was real. Andres didn't stop there, though. He then drew a map of his house and physically demonstrated how the supposed struggle between him and Cammie happened.
Where are you sitting?
On the couch.
On the couch?
There was one across it, there was one right here, you know.
Could you draw me, like, a picture of the room in the house that you live in? Can you draw that for me? Man, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I just got to wrap my hand around.
You know I can.
I just got to wrap my head around it, okay? Let's see. So right here like this, okay? And here's a Sharpie.
Alright, so look, check it out. The couch is right here. Right,
Okay.
there's another.
Where's the front door?
Right here. There's a front door right here. Alright, so she's right here, you know what I mean?
Where are you?
I'm right here. That's
Okay.
me. Alright, so, and she's right here. So, like, I'm sitting down, and like, when I see it come up, she's got the knife, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? She's talking
Can you put an X where you are?
Yeah, I'm right here.
And put an X where she is, or a 0 or something. Like tic-tac-toe, man. Just show me two
So
different
she's
things.
right here, right? So I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And I see the knife in her hand, and so she gets up and she's like, well, like, what the fuck? And then, like, you know what I mean? About whatever, dope, money, you know what I mean? And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about, first of all? So, you know what I mean? And so she comes at me, and I'm like, you know what I mean? The only thing I think I can do is, like, you know, like, fucking do something, you know what I mean? So, like I said, I come and I get her, I restrain her, you know what I mean? She's going crazy, and I'm telling her, hey, let go of the knife, let go of the knife, you know what I mean? Like, there's to be...
So, she's got the knife over here, you get up and go over there.
Like, right there in the middle,
right
you know
in the
what I
middle?
mean? Yeah, like, cause she's
Y'all
already...
meet in the middle, and what
she's
happens?
already up, like, you know
If
what I
I'm
mean?
her and I've got this knife,
Right.
what happens?
So I get her like this,
Uh-huh.
and then I spin her down that way,
Uh-huh.
and like I'm telling her, hey, let go of the knife, let
Uh-huh.
go of the knife,
Right.
and she's like, nah, you know what I mean? So like, and I got her like that.
You can just stay on me like a
like,
bird.
like, like it's like a couch, like I'm going down like,
Uh-huh.
on her like that,
Like
right?
this?
Yeah. Well, see, I'm going down on her,
Uh-huh.
and like she's trying to like come with the knife,
Right.
But like when I have her like right here
Uh-huh.
in her arms, like
Uh-huh.
like her fucking like her arms like started twisting because I wanted to get the knife,
Is
right?
she going up with the knife? Or down with the knife?
Like coming, it's still coming
Still
up.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
And then, like I got her arms, like her hands right here, like
Mhm.
this, but her fucking elbows and shit are like
She's trying to get away from you?
Like not trying to get away from, like trying to get, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
I'm telling her, let go of the knife. Like I'm not gonna do nothing to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna do anything to you. You know what I mean? And it's
What's
like,
she saying?
she's doing all that growling shit. Like,
Okay.
you know what I
Right,
mean? And
yeah.
like, and when I have her down like this, and I'm like trying to go, like she's already coming back up, like with her hips and like
Right? She's trying to lift you back up.
yeah, but she is like
Right.
up off the ground, but like high in the motherfucker, like you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? Like that's not normal, you know what I mean? Because like the way she stands, like you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm still trying to do it, and I'm trying to
Listen,
tell her,
say it.
stop.
Right.
I'm telling her, stop, dude. I'm telling her, stop. You know what I mean? Let go of the knife, man. I'm like, you know what I mean? Don't fucking do this to me. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And then she's like, continue like
Right.
that. And like, all I could do, like, you know what I mean? If there was anything, if I would have let go or did anything besides all I could do was just to fucking grab, you know what I mean? And for some reason, it was right there, man. And that's all I could do was just, you know what I mean? At just one time and just
Hold it, man. Kind of show us how it happened, that you remember.
When you
Like,
grab
she's like
the-
that, she's trying to get
Right, and so she's down like this, right, and
Uh-huh.
I got her, and then finally, I'm on top, you know what I mean, and I'm telling her stop, you know what I mean, and she's coming at me with a knife, she's still coming at me, and like, you know what I mean, all I do is, I grab the gun like that, and I tell her to fucking stop, and like, when she comes like that, like, to the,
Like this?
Yeah, like that, all I could do was just, you know what I mean? That's all I,
Just squeeze the trigger?
yes, sir,
One time.
one time,
And where to hit her?
in the head.
This guy went from talking nonsense and claiming he barely knew the victim to confessing in detail and actually drawing a map of what happened. The problem was that his claim of self-defense wasn't backed up by the evidence. He had no marks on his body, no defensive wounds, not even any light abrasions that would have likely come from a struggle. He had supposedly undergone a violent struggle with someone who had a knife and didn't have a single mark on him? It's unlikely. Investigators found that the bullet had gone downward into the couch after hitting Cammie. The bullet trajectory and blood spatter showed that she was lying on the couch when she was shot at extremely close range. The barrel of the gun left a burn mark on her skin, showing that the gun had been pressed to her flesh when she was shot, likely while she was sleeping. Inside his house, investigators were unable to find a knife with Cammie's fingerprints on it. Andres also said that the murder happened 2 to 3 days before, then corrected himself to say 4 to 5 days before, which was not supported by the medical examiner. Her time of death was put at the day before her body was found. At trial, Andres continued trying to claim self-defense. His lawyers didn't call a single witness to testify in his defense. The prosecutor called a number of people who testified against Andres regarding his behavior and his relationship with Cammie. Guards from the jail also testified about his behavior behind bars while awaiting trial. They said he had been in multiple fights and had threatened guards, even throwing urine on them. It painted a pretty clear picture of a violent person with absolutely no remorse for his actions. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. This story goes to show you that, even when a criminal acts so stupid you can't help but laugh at them, it doesn't change the fact that they're a horrible monster. Thanks so much for letting me tell you this story. If you're a fan of true crime, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. You can also hit like or leave a comment. If you'd like to support the show, check out our merchandise at thisismonsters.com. The link is in the description. Thanks again, and be safe.